Fellow Chipsters, hello and welcome to the first and probably only episode of Chips Challenge News. Today, we have history in the making with an unhorde of scorers from none other than one of the top chipsters in the game. At the start of the day, this is what the scoreboards looked like for CCLP1 MS. A tie for first place between J.B. Lewis and James Anderson, with a runner-up Jeffrey Barden being close behind both of them. For so long, CCLP1 has been on the cusp of 6,006,000. But it was only a matter of time before someone would find that 1 second that needed to be shaved off on a timed level. So, today, not only did someone find that 1 second to be shaved off, but one of the top players also executed this bold. And that person is none other than Jeffrey Barden, IHNN. So, let's get into these score reports. Our story starts Monday, the 5th, with a report at 2:30 p.m. of an 846 on Badlands, a joint bold with James Anderson. So the story here is that both players had 845, and when they shared their routes, they confused each other sufficiently, and eventually they ended up working something out that made it possible for an 846 to happen on the level. The 844 stood for just over about 4 years or so before James Anderson reported an 845 on his own, and with collaboration the very next day, the time was lowered, or raised, I guess, to an 846. Now, because this is an untimed level, it doesn't affect any of the scores, so the scores still stood at 6,005,990. Now, that being said, Jeffrey was not done here. He continued on his path to 6,006,000 with a bold on Flame War, level 93 of CCLP1, a joint bold with Kasper Leshinsky, and it was also set on the same day. But what makes this interesting is that he didn't report it right away. This began a little horde which would prove to be very, very useful in the future. So let's take a look at Flame War. Obviously, doesn't seem to be too much to level. 350 time limit, 327 bold time, and that's fairly standard. You can see in the bold evolution, there was a 3-second jump in 2017 after a year, and then a 1-second jump by Kasper Leshinsky. It should be a joint bold, I believe. A 1-second jump about a year and a half later. Let's take a look at the level. Fairly standard, many patterns that you can go about with the teeth on the left, but nothing too bad according to the public route, which is 322. But who knows how difficult that route's going to end up being. So, let's go back to our first screenshot. Because it was B+1 on a timed level, this brings the total score to 6,006,000 as a great milestone. It means another bunch of seconds have come off the game, and it's awesome whenever there's a nice round number to end off. But, that being said, Jeffrey wasn't done there. Mr. No Name continued on with his grind. He had a few levels left to bold, the timed levels in particular. And you can see he's got a little story which I'll dictate. He went for blobs on a plane first, immediately after, but after a few hours he decided that was enough. Let's just go to sleep for the night. That's that. When he got back from work, he was sick, unfortunately. He didn't want to continue the grind on blobs on a plane. So he decided to go for the bold on The Last Starfighter. As he says, it takes him probably about 7 to 8 hours total, plus or minus 2, including past attempts. And he's glad that he didn't choke the execution to save that one crucial second. So let's take a look at, not Flame War, The Last Starfighter. As you can see, public time is 276, but obviously that does not mean it's an easy bold to get. The bold route skill is listed at 4 stars, and the bold route luck is listed at 5. A quite deadly combination. The level is fairly complex, as you can probably tell just by quickly looking at it. I won't go into detail, but the blobs on the right-hand side would be the contributing factor to the luck being at 5 stars. So, score evolution is fairly linear here. Took a year for JB to shave a second off of his own time. But the interesting thing about this one is that the Melinda time, which is the time which involves the best luck and the best luck that you can get in a level, is at 279. So there are 3 seconds to save there, but I doubt we'll ever see anyone get it. Next up for Mr. No Name was Blobs on a Plane. As the story goes, he was unable to go to work because of the stupid cold. Flu season, not a great time. But of course, this just means that there's more time for Blobs. He returns to Blobs on a Plane. And I'll give a dramatic reading of the write-up that he provided for us. It's better to be lucky than to be good. He made a tactical mistake on the way back from suction boots after a good 30-second think, with a blob 2 tiles up and another one 2 up, 2 right. He misjudged the second blob and thought that it might interfere, so he elected to step to the left and up instead of just up, deliberately spending 2 moves of his buffer. In hindsight, it was probably a mistake given the probabilities of success that he knew. Up was much more likely to work, as left up given a left blob would spell disaster. Except he had misjudged the step, and up would have meant immediate death as the blob moved down. So left up was actually the correct decision in a vacuum for survival. Though, even given hindsight, it was a difficult move to make. And so, for him, the last of the random levels fell. Further analysis shows that it could be wrong, but mental picture and the actual level didn't mesh, and he made a questionable decision that happened to be the correct one. So let's take a look at the score page for 117. Another one where it's 3 stars difficulty and 5 stars luck, which means it's absolutely, as you can tell already, there's so many blobs here that it's just going to be absolutely ridiculous to make it through without dying, especially when you're on pace for a great time like he was. Once again, 255 is public, and we know that it's 3 stars difficulty, which means it's still very, very difficult to execute a proper time on this level. This, of course, would have put him at 6,005,990, and heaven knows that when you've got 3 bolds hoarded, which would tie you for the top, and one of those is a bold +1, you can't just stop there. You have to go for the last one on your list, the one that will break the milestone and give the player the first time of 6,006,000. So, what did he do? He went for it. The last level he needed was H2O below 273k, and his description for this is short but sweet. This one was inevitable. It still took 5 or 6 hours of attempts, but some heavy-duty practice on the left half paid off. He dropped 1/2 in rooms 6 and 7, but hung on in the end. I don't know the notation for that, so he dropped a move, or probably a half move, off of one of the slides in rooms 6 and 7, but it was just enough so that he could claim his bold. Let's take a look at the level, and right away you can see this is a public time. Nothing to it. Bold route, 5 stars, and no luck involved. So to be at the top on this level, it's absolutely all you, nothing that the level can throw at you. If you take a look at the score history, it's pretty short, a lot of action happening right at once. About a week period, you get the real scores being really reported in this section here. So you can see that in the span of a day, Jeffrey improved his score by 9 seconds back in April of 2014. But then 3 days later, JB improves it by 5 seconds, and then on that same day, Andrew Gapik improves it by 1 second to put it where it stands today. And when you see the level for this map, when you see the map, you can quickly understand why it's so difficult to play this level through. So much of the level is based on you sliding across ice, which can be very difficult to maneuver, and making sure that you have the right path and the optimal path to make sure that you don't get stuck anywhere. So very, very difficult level to execute, and congratulations to Jeffrey for doing that. Going back to the score report, you can see that he's reported at 6,006,000, the first player to break the milestone, and with 147 bolds. That's two off of all of them, but the others are untimed, so it doesn't matter for score purposes. And as you can see right here, he's reported them, they've been inputted, and he finds himself at the top alone with every single time bold to his name. Now, if that wasn't good enough for you, another impressive feat from this is the average level rankings, which once again put him at the top alone. Average level rankings takes into account what place you are on every level, and of course averages them all the way across. So, congratulations to Jeffrey on his remarkable few days of Chips Challenge, his remarkable score report, and of course, being the first player to break 6,006,000 and being at the top alone of Chips Challenge Level Pack 1 MS. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the first and likely only edition of Chips Challenge News. If you liked it, please leave a like and be sure to comment and subscribe. I hope this was enjoyable to you guys. I know I certainly had fun narrating the absolute awesomeness of this whole situation and the dramatics caused by a horde of bolds and new bolds. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.